Hey, this is BoxingWave. Wanted to talk about Andrade and Martirosyan fight. I thought it was a good fight. It went pretty much exactly how I thought it was going to go. Andrade winning by decision. Close fight, competitive fight. Really wasn't close, but it was very competitive. Andrade did not dominate the fight. I knew Vanes was not going to get knocked out. He's very tough. And it was a good fight overall. It was a good fight. A lot of weaknesses was exposed in this fight, especially Andrade. I think a lot of his weaknesses was exposed in this fight. But this was a big fight for both fighters. Both their biggest tests being that they're fighting an undefeated fighter, and this is that first step to the next level at 154 pounds. So I want to start off talking about the first round. Andrade's dominating the round. He's very consistent with his right jab. He's following up with his left, and he's countering Martirosyan pretty well. Martirosyan didn't throw a lot in that round, and later in the round, Martirosyan knocks him down with a counter punch. I think Andrade got a little too comfortable. He was following up with a straight left, and Andrade was following up with a straight left, and Martirosyan just countered him with a straight left and knocked him down. Didn't really hurt him. Andrade got back up, actually scored a 10-9 round, being that Andrade was dominating the whole round up into that knockdown. Now, some of the key mistakes I think Andrade made, or some of the things that I think he needs to work on to become a better fighter. Andrade needs to work a little bit on his defense while he's punching. He leaves himself open, completely open, okay? He doesn't have his hands up when he punches. He doesn't really duck, and he doesn't jump out after punching. So he kind of leaves himself open. If you notice, some of the rounds that I felt Martirosyan won, he was able to counter Andrade often, and Martirosyan is not a counter puncher, so he's not, well, at least he's not known for counter punching. So I think Andrade needs to work on his defense, not while he's just on the outside, but while he's throwing punches. He kept up, he had his guards up. In some rounds he had him up, some rounds he had him down. He really wasn't consistent with that. Another thing is he has to work on his balance. All right, when he throws, he's totally unbalanced. If you look at his legs, it's like looking at spaghetti legs. Like and when he was pivoting, he just looked a little unbalanced. He just needs to work on that. Because, like, let's say he gets hit, he's punching, he throws, and he fights someone that's a counter puncher. Like, let's say he fights Lara, which that fight is very possible in the near future, within the next year or two. If these guys keep winning, these guys could definitely fight each other. If you fight a counter puncher like Lara, if he throws and Lara counters Andrade with a straight left or something, and it's not really a hard shot, but Andrade is unbalanced while he's throwing, he can get knocked down. It could easily be a 10-8 round over and over again. I'm not saying Andrade is not tough, but when you're unbalanced and you're throwing a punch and you're unbalanced, it's easy to fall down with anything that lands. Okay, so that's just another thing I think he needs to work on, other than his defense. Besides that, I think he fought a pretty solid fight. He looked a little flat-footed at times, just a little too easy to hit for Martirosyan to hit when he was being pressured. So other than that, I think he fought a pretty good fight. He's still early in his career, and there's plenty of guys he can fight before he fight the real top 3 154 pounders. Okay. Another thing, real quick. I think if he were to fight a guy like Lara, or let me say Lara, a guy with leg movement that's great on his feet, great ring generalship, I think he'll have a lot of trouble. Martirosyan was easy because he was standing right in front of him. Martirosyan needed to set up every time he drew, and if Martirosyan got hit, he would just like reset over and over again right in front of Andrade, and he was able to get hit often. You fight a guy like Lara or Trout or even Canelo, like Canelo that fought against Trout. These guys have head movement. You know, they're not going to stand right in front of you. And Lara, he has foot movement. He's a defensive fighter. And I think Lara's also better at fighting on the outside. I think he has a better jab. And, you know, I think he's a little bit better of a technician than Andrade is. So, you know, he just needs to improve a little bit more. I would like to see him fight. There's plenty of people for him to fight. Now, getting on Martirosyan. Martirosyan lost this fight because he didn't fight. And I said this in the prediction video. Martirosyan, his style of fighting, he needs to learn how to cut off the ring. All right? And he has to be a pressure fighter. I don't know what the game plan or the original game plan was for this fight. But in my opinion, he needed to pressure Demetrius Andrade. He needed to pressure him. I think he has more power than Andrade, and he doesn't have as much of a reach as Andrade, so he needed to stay in his face and pressure him. If he pressured him more instead of just 2 or 3 rounds out of the fight, he would have knocked him down more. He would have had Andrade in trouble, and the fight would have went in a different way. Because if you notice, when Andrade got knocked down, as confident as he was in the first round, when he got knocked down, he was a lot more hesitant in the second round, you know. So I think when Martirosyan knocked this guy down, he tried to just win off countering him and landing one big shot for the rest of the fight, and that wasn't the right way to fight. That wasn't the right way to go into this fight, trying to win. You know, you're not gonna win that way. Not against a guy who obviously has better defense and is a quicker, a better outside fighter than you are. So I think he needed to pressure him, keep the pressure going, you know. And Andrade is not the hardest guy to hit, so he needed to keep the pressure going. Vanes is a tough guy, and I wouldn't have expected Andrade to, you know, knock him out or anything like that. Another thing, I think Vanes needs to work. I already said that he needs to work on cutting off the ring. Okay, you gotta learn how to cut off the ring. You saw in the Lara fight, he gave Lara too much time, and Lara is one of those guys where he's a patient fighter. You need to learn how to cut off the ring. You need to learn how to pressure. That is the way you fight. You gotta stick to that plan. Don't stick to just counter punching. All right, and also stick on, you know, try to work on your head movement. Don't be so easy, but that's the way he fights, so he might fight that way forever. And he is a good fighter. He did impress me with the counter punches, and he could still get better at that. So I like both of these guys. I would like to see some of these guys fight at 154. I don't think anyone really looked bad. No one really looked really impressive in this fight, but no one looked bad neither. It was a solid fight, win or lose. And I would like to see Andrade fight maybe, you know, Cornelius K9 Bundridge, maybe Ishe Smith, maybe who else is out there at 154? There's a few people there at 154, but I think he needs to fight a few guys before he fights the Laras, the Canelos, obvious Floyd Mayweather's, the top guys at 154. You got the Charlo brothers out there too that are still undefeated. So those are some of the guys I would like to see him fight first. I mean, even Carlos Molina. I mean, Carlos Molina's a belt holder. That would be a good fight. See how that would be a good test for Andrade, both Andrade and Martirosyan, because Carlos Molina is a really tough guy to beat. He doesn't have a lot of power, but very frustrating guy to beat. So very tough fight. As far as Martirosyan, I would like Martirosyan to definitely fight Angulo. I said that in a prediction video. Angulo, maybe James Kirkland. Both guys would fight James Kirkland. I think Kirkland's fighting later this year. You know, there's a few guys I like. Martirosyan is pretty good. I don't think he's gonna ever be one of the top guys, but he's one of the. I think he will be a gatekeeper at 154. I think he's a tough fighter no matter who he fights. Even if he fought some of the top guys, you saw him fight Lara and they called that a draw. Even though I thought Lara was winning the fight, clearly winning the fight, they gave it a draw. They made it a draw. So I like both of these guys. So anyway, leave comments. Let me know. Oh, before I go, I want to speak of the judges. I mean, that one judge giving Martirosyan what 2 more rounds over Andrade. That's crazy. He should be suspended. He shouldn't even be judging for a little while. And then there was one judge that had Andrade up only by 1 round. I mean, even that was a little crazy. I think Martirosyan won like 3 rounds, you know, with the knockdown round and maybe 2 other rounds where Andrade seemed to be taking a break. So a little bit crazy with the judges. But anyway, leave comments. Let me know who you want to see these guys fight, both fighters, because I think both fighters are still going to be, you know, active in 154. And I can see them still getting into, you know, some bigger fights and at 154. I can see both of them. Even with the loss for Martirosyan, I still think he's a pretty good fighter. And subscribe to my channel and follow me on Twitter at wavy_10. Thanks.